Hey, what's up everyone? It's me, Edgy, and I'm here with Jeff and Todd. Yo. Hey. Today we're going to be looking at Aliens Fireteam Elite, the new Aliens game that came out like a few weeks ago. We're going to split this into sections. Todd is going to tackle graphics and performance. Jeff wants to talk about music and sound, and I'll handle the gameplay. There'll be timestamps for the sections if you want to skip around. Just to be upfront, we've been playing the game for the past 2 weeks or so. We've completed the campaign and played every class at least twice. We haven't maxed out all of them, but we've played every mission, but we haven't played every single one of the highest difficulty because our combat rating isn't high enough, so it wouldn't be fair to judge them based on that. Just something to keep in mind when we're talking about this. So let's talk about the graphics and performance. This game runs on the Unreal Engine, and it looks okay. I mean, it's kind of hard to make a game look bad on the Unreal Engine. We're running it at max settings here. It isn't a bad looking game, but there are some problems with the visuals. Take the hub world, for example. It looks beautiful until you start talking to people.
Regulation cornbread contains 16 vitamins and minerals, fiber, protein, and something else I forgot. Everything except flavor. Yeah, damn right you're ready for another mission.
That's not a bug. That is just how talking to characters works. There's no mouth animations at all. I mean, I guess you can't have bad lip sync if there are no lip animations. I know Dark Souls and Bloodborne also do this, but at least with those games, a lot of the characters are wearing masks, and the camera is far away enough where it isn't super noticeable. But in this game, the camera is first person, like you're standing in front of the person actually talking to them, and the lack of facial animations is really noticeable. Character models, facial issues aside, they look good, they look fine. And the xenomorphs look awesome. They crawl on things, they jump around without glitching out, at least if they have, I haven't noticed it. Their animations look good too. The only animation in general that sticks out to me is a problem or that doesn't look good is reloading, and I didn't notice this until Edgy pointed it out, so I'm just gonna hand it over to him for a sec. I saw this in a Steam review before I bought this game, and I thought somebody was taking a piss. Like, I thought they were just, you know, exaggerating or just fucking with me, but it turns out it's 100% true. The reload animation for certain guns are hilariously bad because you know what, let me just show you. Did you notice it? In case you didn't, I'm gonna replay it again. Pay attention to what side the bolt is on when he grabs and pulls it back. I'll even zoom in and slow it down for you. Not only is the bolt on the opposite side of where he's grabbing and pulling it back, the bolt doesn't move at all despite the animation showing him pulling it back. Initially, I was given this benefit of doubt, like, okay, maybe the bolt's on both sides, maybe it's like some kind of ambidextrous thing. I mean, it's the future. But you can look at your gun model in the customization menu in the loadout, and you can rotate it, and you can clearly see the bolt handle is only on one side, and it's not the side the guy is reaching for. Gun models look fantastic, but it's just that wonky animation. Didn't they update this game recently too? It's weird they didn't fix that. Yeah, they fixed a lot of bugs, but I don't know if, I guess that's not on their priority of things to fix, but it does look a little weird when you notice it. I do like the art style for the guns and really everything in the world. They look pretty spot on to the movie. Even the new guns that are not from the movie, they fit in pretty well. Nothing really stands out as odd. Though, I did notice the pulse rifle does not hold 99 rounds by default like it does in the movies. Though, to be fair, there is an attachment system, so I get why that's the case, and I'm assuming there's a magazine we can unlock at some point because we haven't unlocked everything because there's quite a bit that would get it to 99 like in the movie. I understand it's a balancing thing and it is nitpicky, but I feel like someone's gonna care about it, so I'm just gonna mention it. There's also no option to have an underslung grenade launcher. Again, I'm gonna chalk that up to balancing reasons, but it is a little bit disappointing to not have that. This game also doesn't run very well, if I'm gonna be honest with you. There are times where it struggles to get 60 FPS. And for transparency, we have a 2070 Super, 16 gigs of DDR4 RAM, an Intel i7 6700K that has a clock speed of 4 GHz. It's an older CPU, and maybe the game taxes the CPU more than the GPU since, you know, it's an online game and networking and stuff. So maybe that's it. I've seen that before with multiplayer games, so I'm inclined to think that's the cause. We're also running this game at 2K resolution, so I imagine if we lowered it to like 1080p, we'd probably get higher FPS. It'd probably be a bit better. But even in the hub world, the game hovers around the 80 FPS range and sometimes will dip, and that's just with me standing still, which in a vacuum doesn't sound that bad, but when you consider that this computer can run games like Doom Eternal and Resident Evil 8 at higher frame rates when things are going on, like you're fighting enemies and stuff, and not it be at higher frame rates, it's a little bit weird. And of course, the frame rate issues become worse when there's a bunch of aliens on screen. Unfortunately, this game is also really buggy. It's gotten much better since release because they did issue out some updates and some patches that did fix a lot of these. But on launch, we had some interesting issues. The most annoying was during a mission in the second set of levels where we couldn't progress at all because we needed to kill all the xenomorphs in one room before the door would open, but the problem is the last xenomorph never fully spawned. Like, we could hear it, we could see it on the motion tracker, but it wasn't actually in the map, so we could shoot it. After about 5 minutes, the game just booted us back to the menu. We've also had several crashes to desktop, usually when trying to load into a match or going from a match to the hub world again. But I haven't seen that since the last update, so I'm gonna assume that's fixed, but just in case it's not for everyone, I'm just letting you know. Now, post-update, I have had this one glitch, and it's only happened twice, I think. That's really weird, where my gun sound effects would not play when shooting. And as you can imagine, this throws your aim off since you're not getting the feedback of firing your gun. Another one that is a little bit more common is sound looping like infinitely in a certain room, even after whatever triggers it is no longer happening. I've only seen this with gun sound effects, and like I said, I've only seen it happen maybe like 3 times at the most. And usually it goes away once you leave the room. But the worst bug I've seen, and I haven't seen this since the update, thankfully, is disconnecting mid-match. And this is usually foreshadowed by extreme lag that seems to be affecting everybody. But like I said, this hasn't happened since the update, so I'm assuming it's fixed. Jeff is going to talk about music and sound now. Alright, so the music in this game is alright. It's okay. I mean, it gets drowned out for the most part when the shooting starts anyway. I don't think they actually took music from the films. I think what they did is whoever did the music, they just kind of took like the themes and like the instruments used, it just kind of did their own thing with it, but it still sounds like it would fit in Alien, or Aliens, more so than Alien. But there is some stuff in here that, now I think about it, doesn't really sound like what you hear in Aliens. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm not hearing it like properly, because again, it gets drowned out by the gunfire and stuff. But it's too bad they don't use Bishop's Countdown at any point in the game. You know that one theme that everyone remembers from Aliens that I wish I could play right now, but that would be a copyright claim waiting to happen on this video. It's the one that everybody loved using in trailers after this movie came out. And to be honest, it is pretty awesome as a trailer song. The guns sound beefy, and the pulse rifle and smart gun sound exactly like they do in the movies, which is nice. So does the motion tracker.
No stretch. God. On the left, from the ducts. center column, not a spitter!
The shooting sounds, like the sound effects of you shooting your guns is good, so shooting feels good. Just always great to see, because that's one of the worst things you can do in a shooter game is have the guns sound weak, even if they are actually weak. The aliens also sound good, and they sound accurate to the movies. They got the same death scream that they use in Aliens a lot. And the special type of aliens have their own like sound effects, so you know which one is coming after you. Kind of like Left 4 Dead. One thing I love, and I wish more games did this, is you get this little audio sting whenever you land a headshot kill on an enemy, and it is satisfying as hell. Fantastic, man. Besides the sound glitches that Todd already mentioned, this game's sound is pretty good. I can't really find any like faults with it. All right, Edgy, you up. Jeff already mentioned it earlier, but this game is basically Left 4 Dead but aliens. You got your special aliens like the drone, which is pretty much the alien from the first movie. It runs at you and it'll try to pounce you and start clawing at you. If they take too much damage, when they're trying to run up to you to get you, they'll instead run for a vent or a hole in the wall and just get away and try again later. Sometimes they'll come out of a vent behind the whole squad and try to, you know, surprise you and get you from behind. They can be a little bit annoying, and sometimes you'll dodge, but the hitbox is really freaking wide. So sometimes I will be in mid-roll, be diving out of the way, and the grab will still get me, even though I'm rolling. You also have the Prowler. These bastards like to camp, and then they'll just pounce on you when you come around the corner.
Got it. While Ez runs through the logs, you keep heading out.
You can bait them out by shooting near their position or where you think they are, and they'll usually come out, but just know that they will still try to tackle you if they get close. So try to kill them from afar or just dive out of the way when they get really close to you. There's another special type, and this one's a little bit weird. It's the warrior alien. The ones Ripley and the Marines were dealing with in Aliens. Yeah, they're a special type, and good God, if Ripley and crew were dealing with these warriors in Aliens, that movie would have been a hell of a lot shorter and a lot sadder, because good fucking lord, these guys have been juicing. They've been pumping them Arnolds or something, because I don't remember them being this huge or being able to tank a full pulse rifle clip and then some. These guys will just snatch you, and you gotta press the buttons on screen to get out of it or wait till someone does enough damage for them to let you go. I actually don't know what happens if you don't get out of it. I assume they kill you. And like I said, these guys can tank some damage, and they have an armor, so you have to get through the armor first before you can actually damage them. And they hit like a fucking truck. There are other specials, but I'd rather let you figure them out rather than spoil everything. The normal aliens look like the alien from Alien 3, and they tend to go down pretty easily. They will crawl on the walls and ceiling after you and will swarm you, and try not to get cornered by them, especially by yourself, because especially on higher difficulties, they will fuck you up. But for the most part, you can kill them pretty easily with most weapons. You also have classes in the game, and I'm gonna mention each one, but first, let's just talk about the basics. You can rank up each class by doing missions, and each rank you unlock some special perks that you can attach to either your abilities or an open slots in the grid system that they use for upgrades. You can customize this to how you want the class to play, and it just makes you better. Some of these upgrades can completely change how a skill works. Now you can remove them at any point if you don't like it. Each class has 2 abilities, and let's look at each class for a sec. The Gunner is the basic class. They have the ability to chuck grenades, and they also have an ability that ups the rate of fire for not just you, but your entire team for a few seconds. This is one of 2 classes you pick when you just want to kill shit for 20 minutes. It's pretty fun. Grab you some weapons with a high rate of fire naturally and go nuts. The Demolisher is the class you pick when you really want to kill shit and don't care about supporting your team with your abilities, or you just want to use a smart gun because They're the only class that gets access to that. And yes, it does work like how it does in the movies, complete with the aimbot, and it is insanely fun. They also have an option for a big-ass flamethrower that cooks aliens extra crispy if that's your thing, and also a grenade launcher that is pretty fucking awesome. For abilities, they have a cluster missile launcher, which I'm mixed on, because on one hand, it can kill a lot of aliens real quick if you catch them with it, but it has a delay before it fires, and sometimes that delay can throw off your aim. You might not be able to get as many as you wanted. The good news is, while it's doing the delay animation, you can still move around, so you can adjust as it's going off. But it is really satisfying when you hit something with it, especially if you can catch a bunch of them. Especially if you get the upgrade where it does incendiary damage and leaves a bunch of fire. That's nice. There are other abilities like concussive grenade that they can drop on the ground at their feet that knocks enemies down to stun them. I don't think it damages them though, but this is really good if a special enemy is up in your face. You can use this to get out of being grabbed, which is nice, if you can time it right. Then there's the dock. The dock is probably my least favorite because I hate how their healing works. So everybody has a med kit that you can either use to patch yourself up or a teammate, as long as both of you are holding still and you're near each other and nobody moves. The dock has a trauma kit that you just plop down the floor and it has a healing aura. The issue is, unlike the other abilities, it doesn't work on a cooldown. Instead, it has a limited charge and it doesn't regenerate over time. The only way to recharge it is by picking up med kits. But medkits aren't super common, and the game usually only gives you them right before a section where you have to hold it against a swarm. Now, you do have a medkit at the start of every mission, but again, you're only gonna get a medkit like maybe 3 or 4 times if you're lucky. So you really need to ration it out. What you're supposed to do is use your medkit to heal someone, pick up a fresh medkit so it charges the kit, and then repeat this process on your entire team so you can get your trauma station as charged as possible. This only works if your team knows how the doctor works and don't use their own medkits to heal themselves or their teammates and let you heal them. This is a problem in a public game with randoms if y'all are not coordinating with voice chat or anything like that, because randoms might not let you do this. I'm guilty of this too, just full disclaimer, I'm guilty of this too because I forget how it works. And I don't play dock often because I don't like how the healing works. Again, this might not be that bad if you're playing with buddies and y'all are communicating properly, but with randoms, it's a problem. And this seems to be something that a lot of people have been pointing out, because I've actually been seeing videos people arguing like ways on how to fix it. Their other ability is combat stims, which makes your guns do more damage for a short amount of time, and it applies to the whole team, which is nice. Next is a technician. They get to deploy a sentry gun that isn't a consumable. Unlike the others, the rest of the team can find in crates during certain areas and missions. You can pick yours back up and redeploy it at will, and it doesn't run out of ammo. It does have a cooldown though if it gets destroyed or if you recall it from a distance. You can upgrade into a flame sentry as you rank up, or you can turn it into a heavy sentry where it does more damage, but it has a lower rate of fire. The other ability they have is a grenade that slows anything that tries to pass over them for a short amount of time. It's really fun to combo this with the sentry gun and just rack up damage and kills. They're fun. They're pretty fun to play. Sentry guns are always cool. One cool thing that I have to give this game props for, because I did not expect them to do this, they added a DLC class for free called the Phalanx, or Phalanx, how the fuck you pronounce that? They have a deployable shield to block incoming damage. You can shoot your weapons while the shield is out too, and you're not like limited to like a handgun or anything. You can just one-hand a rifle in the shield, which is awesome. You also have a shock pulse that lets you stun enemies around you. They're really fun when you have a shotgun as a secondary weapon. There is one other class, but you have to beat the campaign to unlock it. And I'll say it's probably second to the dock in terms of the least favorite class in the game for me. But I'm not going to spoil it if you do decide to play. Let's talk about the guns. I gotta love with you, I have not unlocked every gun in this game, but the ones I do have are pretty solid for the most part. There's like a few that I don't like. Most of the ones I don't like are sniper rifles. And that's because the aliens are really fast and your teammates have guns that they can aim and fire much faster than your sniper rifle. So a lot of times when I'm lining up my shot with a sniper rifle, someone just kills my target right as I'm about to pull the trigger anyway. Every gun has an optional attachment that can change some stats and the appearance of the weapons. You can change the magazine, the sights, the muzzle, and the robot arm for the sub-weapons for the demolisher. These attachments and the stats that come with them affect your combat rating. Your upgrades to your class also do this. And this is the game's way of gauging how difficult a mission will be for you, because if your combat rating is too low and you try to join a mission, you're probably gonna have a bad time. And on higher difficulties, the combat rating goes up. So it's a good way for you to gauge whether or not you should attempt a mission or not. I've done some missions where my combat rating wasn't high enough, and some of them have been okay, but others have been hell, and I got carried hard, so keep that in mind. In addition to unlocking different upgrades for your guns, you can also unlock different colors and decals for them, and cosmetics for your soldier, which you can fully customize. The character creation is serviceable. It's nothing special, but it's there, so you know, you can do what you want. One thing you'll notice real quick with this game is the mission structure. There will be about 2 to 3 sections where you will have a chance to grab ammo and medkits, and there'll be crates of consumables, and what you're supposed to do here is set up defenses and hold out until a certain condition is met, and you have to trigger this by usually turning on a terminal. The consumables you get, they can be mines, sentry guns, drones that increase your squad's damage for a certain amount of time, and special ammo that can either burn or shock your target. Like I said, there's usually some kind of device that triggers the swarm of enemies that'll come in, and you just gotta hold out and kill and fight until the game says you can move on. They do enough window dressing so these make sense in the mission you're in, but I'm sure you're gonna notice it if you haven't already. If you've already played this, you probably have. They do mix it up by having certain things where it's like, okay, you have to go find a certain item in the level, and it usually pings like possible places where it could be, and it's usually 1 of 3. Usually randomized, or sometimes it feels like it isn't. Missions tend to take about 20 minutes or so, at least on the normal to intense difficulty. It's obviously going to take longer on harder difficulties. There's also a horde mode. I haven't played much of it, but it's there, and what I did play was pretty fun. If you do play this game on anything higher than the standard difficulty, make sure you have at least 1 other squad member. I would recommend having a full squad of actual players and not the AI controlled sense. You will probably lose if your squad is just them. And on higher difficulties, obviously the aliens do way more damage. One thing they do add is friendly fire is on, and your max ammo is reduced, and acid damage is way worse. I'm assuming on difficulties above intense, this stuff gets even worse, but again, I haven't tried these yet. Friendly fire is the worst because people love to walk into your line of fire while you are shooting at aliens, get shot, and then get mad at you, and sometimes turn around and shoot at you like it's your fault, like you fucked up. Honestly, I just think people forget friendly fire is on at the time, and I'm guilty of it too. Overall, I'd say the missions are fun, and there are some surprises that I don't want to spoil here. But there is one thing that is disappointing that I do have to spoil about one of the missions, because it really sucks. So I'm about to spoil it, and this is the last mission of the game and how it goes. If you do not want to hear this, please skip to the timestamp on screen, okay? Okay, that's your one and only warning. Jeff, are they gone? I think so, man. Alright, they did the Queen dirty. In the last mission, you're tasked with blowing up the hive. You gotta overload a system that causes the thing to explode, and it turns into a multi-phase last stand with you and your 2 squad members holding out as you wait for the systems to overload and overload them in sequence. Once you overload the final system, you got 2 minutes to get to the elevator and escape. The Queen tries to stop you, so naturally you think there's gonna be a boss fight here, right? You know, like a little pressure time boss fight between your squad versus the Queen. Nope, you can't damage her. You just run to the exit while she chases you. And as long as you are sprinting and paying attention to when she does cut you off, like 1 time during the whole chase sequence, you're fine. It's so weird they didn't include a boss fight at all in this game, especially with the Queen. Like, that just seems obvious, you know? And I guess to somewhat add insult to injury, in the hub world, there's a goddamn power loader, but you can't even go near it, and you never use it for anything, or ever see it used. The mission was solid up until this point, but the minute that happened, it went from like an 8 out of 10 to like a 6. Alright, the people who didn't want to hear spoilers, you can come back now, we're good. I forgot to mention about the challenge cards. These are modifiers that a player can activate before a match. Some of them are just straight up bonuses, like more cash for completing the mission, or double EXP. Others come with downsides, like your weapons do more damage, but their fire rate is cut in half. Or you get a reward bonus, but only if you complete the match without anyone getting downed. Some of these are pretty neat and can spice up normal gameplay if you get the right ones. But some of them are just kinda It varies. Mixed bag. And you can only have 1 active per game, I think. I haven't played a match where 2 of them were active at the same time. Sometimes I wonder if it would be better if you could do that, if they didn't like contradict with each other at all. Let's wrap this up. So, final thoughts on this game. I like it. Not sure if it's worth full price though. Still better than Aliens Colonial Marines. That's not really hard to do, to be honest with you. Yeah, true. I mean, it's a pretty fun game, especially if you got buddies with you. I mean, that's kind of true for any multiplayer game, but yeah, it is a pretty fun game. Even with randoms, it's not bad. Though, it sucks if you're playing the dock with randoms. Though, I am starting to get a little bit worried about the player base because finding a public game with a full squad is getting harder and harder, it seems like. Even on a Friday night. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just us. Maybe people just aren't playing in my region or whatever server I'm on. I don't know. No idea. I'd say it's just right now the game is pretty fun. Maybe they'll add some DLC with some boss fights later on. I hope they do, and I hope it's free. I do agree with Jeff. I think I'd wait for a sale, honestly, at this point. Yeah, I don't know if it's worth the full price tag. I think it's safe to say if you are gonna buy it, make sure one of your friends either already has it or is willing to buy it with you, because like I said, it seems like the player base might be starting to decline a little bit. I don't know. I haven't checked the charts on Steam. But alright, that's it. Cool. I'm gonna go play Final Fantasy 14 now. Alright, I'm gonna cut the camera off.